Well, hello. Welcome to episode 178 of the Confident Live Marketing Show. In today's episode, we're talking about how to organize a massive event. We've talked about long shows before, we talked about marathon shows, but actually when I talked about this, we were talking about like 4 or 5 hour shows. To me, that seems like a really long show, but in today's episode, we're talking about like 24-hour events. Why would you be mad enough to put on an event that is like a whole day long? Well, I'm excited to be bringing in a very, very special guest today. It is Olga Andrienko from Semrush. Welcome to the show, Olga. How are you doing?
Hello. Thank you very much for inviting me, and very excited to share more about the event.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited to talk to you about this because as I said in my introduction, we talked about long events in the past on the show, but I think in a lot of people's minds they've been like 4 to 5 hours long. That's a long event, but don't tell us anything more about your event because we'll talk about that when we get into the main segment. But tell everyone who's watching where in the world you're dialing in from and a little bit about yourself.
I am in and one of our main European offices. My name is Olga. I'm one of the faces of Semrush. I've been with the company for almost 9 years. It will be 9 years in October. So it's evolved from a small startup to a public company it is now. And we're helping small businesses, marketing professionals and marketing agencies while growing their online presence or the online presence of their clients. So to grab as many attention across all the marketing channels.
Awesome, yeah, and Semrush is an awesome tool which I've used for years. We could probably talk a little bit more about that today. We've not brought you on to necessarily talk about that, but I want to talk about it because I love the tool, and we'll talk about that in a bit. But you're dialing in from the beautiful Spain, I will pronounce it correctly, Barcelona, because my my daughter is learning Spanish, and she would tell me off if I didn't pronounce it that way. That's great. Well, I think it's time to get on with the main part of the show. If you've just joined us watching live, if you're watching the replay, welcome. Let us know where in the world you're watching from. And if you have any questions for myself or for Olga, we're talking about massive events, marathon events today. Let's get on with the show right now. Well, hello, Ian Anson Gray here, and in this episode of the Confident Live Marketing Show, we're talking about how to organise a massive event. What about live streaming an event for 24 hours? Are you mad? Isn't that just really difficult? In this episode, I'm joined by the fabulous Olga Andrienko from Semrush. We'll be with you just after this.
Welcome to the Confident Live Marketing Show with Ian Anderson Gray.
Helping you level up your impact, authority, and profits through the power of confident live video.
Optimize your mindset and communication and increase your confidence in front of the camera.
Get confident with the tech and gear.
And get confident with the content and marketing.
Together, we can go live!
Well, hello. Welcome to the show. This is episode 178 of the Confident Live Marketing Show. I can see we have the wonderful Reg, who is from Canada. And you've also saved me here. Thank you, Reg, because you say, is the stream coming through a different microphone? The software that I'm using today has updated to like a new version. As we say in the UK, it's a beta version. And it was being a bit dodgy because it was coming through my old webcam, so the sound would have been awful. But it's much better now. I'm using my trusty PR40 microphone. So thank you so much, Reg. You've saved me. I wouldn't have noticed that without you. So I'm very thankful to my viewers. So if you've just joined, let me know where in the world you're watching from. And also if you have any questions about live events. Now, we've been through a couple of years. We're not going to talk about those, the last couple of years we've been through, but it's been we've had a lot of virtual events. I have been so busy producing live events. This year, I'm now starting to produce hybrid events. So the live streaming of in-person events. But Olga's going to talk to us about a big event that Semrush, the company that she works for, are doing. It's going to be a 24-hour virtual event next year. Why consider doing like a 24-hour stream, and why do a virtual event when everyone else seems to be going to the in-person ones? So that's what we're going to be talking about. Most live streams are less than an hour. We've talked about 4 to 6 hour streams, but this is going to be 24 hours as well. Now, just to let you know, today is a bit of a heat wave in the UK. I know we always talk about the weather here in England, but it is a bit hot. If I'm looking a bit sweaty, it's because we don't have any air conditioning here. But enough of that. Anyway, it's time to bring in my fabulous guest of today, who is Olga Andrienko from Semrush. She's helped organize just lots of events, and she is the VP of Brand Marketing for Semrush. She is one of the key marketing leaders who has grown Semrush from just 300,000 users in 2013 to the 10 million the company has today. She speaks at major marketing conferences and is the head judge at content and social media awards across the USA and Europe. Welcome to the show, Olga. Great to have you here.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
It's great to have you here. Well, we like to, put the red carpet out, and the crowds are cheering you. It's great to have you here. But you're dialing in today from Barcelona. I know you're quite a globetrotter. Every time I go onto Facebook and LinkedIn, you're somewhere new. So I take it you love traveling.
Yeah, I do. And right now, I try to do less and actually stay somewhere for longer than 3 months. But yeah, even during 2021, I've been around quite a lot, and I do enjoy moving around.
Yeah, it's getting that balance, I think, isn't it? I think in 2019, I don't think I had that balance. I was moving around a little bit too much, even though I loved doing it. But then a lot of us have not been able to do anything for the last 2 years, and suddenly we can do things. So, but there is getting that balance, isn't there? Now we've met a few times. I have a very happy memory, and in fact, if I was more organized, I would find a photo of us. I think we're wearing party hats. And it was, I think Semrush did some Christmas parties, and you came to my hometown of Manchester. It was great to see you and meet some of the guys there. But we've also, I think, probably social media marketing world and places like that as well. Yeah. So
the Christmas party was fun. I was introduced to Christmas crackers that time, so I didn't know.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think that's originally like a German tradition that then came over to the UK. But it is weird. All these different traditions that different countries have is very strange, isn't it? So it's good to do all that. But yeah, no, it's been awesome to. I mean, we've known each other for many years and bumped into each other at many conferences. But you've not been on the show, and how rude is that? And you just got in contact with me relatively recently, and I thought, hey, Olga's on my list of people I want to have on the show, but we haven't made it happen yet. So why not do it? And that's what we're going to do today. So tell us a little bit more about what you do. I mentioned a little bit in for your bio. You've been working with Semrush for many years. Maybe tell us a little bit more about your role, what Semrush is as well, and just so that we can get to know a little bit more about you.
So I've been building the brand for the 9 years I've been with the company, and I started as a social media manager, and then the team was growing, and I think that social media is underestimated by a lot of companies still, but putting someone who's actually maybe arrogantly saying overqualified for social media as I was head of sales and marketing for previous company, and then I joined social media. So I was thinking of ways how I can really connect with the audience and have a dialogue and not do so much posting, but rather connecting. And that's how I started, just looking at all mentions that Semrush had, and started replying to all of them and spending more time on the pages of people rather than inviting them on our page. And that's how also everyone got interested in the brand. And that's where the emotional connection was built. So from that point on, I knew the challenges and the dreams of our users, and that actually helped me to also be more influential within the company, and also really understand how our voice can be like adjusted to resonate with the audience more. So that's still what I do until today, but I have more team members, and we are running global campaigns. And we went public not long ago. So now those are like even bigger campaigns with bigger budgets, integrated, like all channels included. And like testing different messaging and venturing out further to creators, to small business owners, to solopreneurs, and trying to help anyone who wants to make money online, and then giving them the right tools to build their presence. So
Well, that sounds good. I think like most people want to make the money online. I mean, some of us do, some people do it for fun, but most of the audience, listeners to this podcast, are wanting to do just that. And I was thinking when you were speaking there, in some ways, your job will have got easier in the sense that you've got a team, but on the other hand, the company has grown and grown and grown. I think, was it 300,000 users back in 2013, and that's now how many million? So like it sounds like the job has really evolved, and sounds like it's a lot more kind of involved now, I assume. One of the things so maybe tell us a little bit more about that, but also one of the things that I've always seen with you, and that I don't always see from people in similar positions, is that you are a relationship builder. You're not just behind the computer. You're not just behind the campaigns. You actually go out there and meet people, like as we did in Manchester. You're actually getting to know the real people, and that, I think, makes such a massive difference. When I think of companies, another company I would say that's a bit like that is Agora Pulse. Semrush is another one. There are some companies that do what you're doing, and there are companies that don't. And I won't name any names in that. But tell us a little bit more about how your roles changed, but also tell a bit more about the relationship side of things.
I think we are using the right balance of automation and personalization, so to say. So if there's email marketing, and you can build the nurturing funnels, you can automate things there. But also there's social media, where if you automate things, it can go really wrong. So we use, I have a whole team of people working on social media, and the specific team who only are community builders. So they're not like broadcasting, they're not publishing, they're replying, they're constantly tracking different communities, and they try to help the users. So this is where we have differentiation. There's digital marketing team who does a lot of an analytics side, and they're taking care of the channels that are more they're more techy maybe, and then we use automation there. But with the brand, we work with influencers, and we work with our community a lot, and that's where our personality radiates. And I was thinking yesterday between the difference in identity and personality of the brand, where identity is if a person, I have a passport, my name is Olga, and I have an identity, but how I communicate, how I speak, and then how I behave, this is personality. And I think this is essential for the brand to have it. So that's what I try to really enhance in Semrush.
Well, so tell us a little bit more about what Semrush is. because I mean it's a big company. I think a lot of people will have heard of it or even used it. Tell us a little bit more. Maybe I don't know. This is putting you on the spot, but maybe if you were to describe Semrush in one tweet, or maybe I'll say two tweets, how would you describe that? And then I want to know, like, how would you describe the personality? If Semrush was a person, how would you describe them?
First question about Semrush. So first, like, you build a website or you build social media, and then there is a need for people to come in. So the second step for people to come in, this is where Semrush helps. So that's analytics and insights, and actually tools to ensure that you're visible on search, social, across different websites, in ads. So we give all the tools needed to ensure that across these channels, from short term to long term, you'll be visible and you'll get the attention, and you won't have the fear, like, what if I built something and nobody's going to show up? That's not one tweet, but
that'll do. And I would just add in there some of the tools in there that I find really helpful. So as well as telling you how well you're doing, you can see, like, maybe how you rank on Google, for example. But it also highlights problems that you may have. So I love the audit part of Semrush. So you can go in and it will say, yeah, you've got some problems there that are going to cause issues. You should sort those out. And it's I mean, I'm reasonably techie, but even people that I know who aren't techie, I think really find it fairly easy to use. It's an easy to use tool. Although they give you, there's so many things in there. It's actually, I think the user interface is great. So we've talked about that, but personality, I'd love to know from you. If Semrush was a person, how would you describe them?
We have 3 words. That's friendly, energetic, and bold. And so that means that we talk in a very friendly voice, never talking down, like, and then always having this semi-formal voice, and also energetic, meaning that we are inspired. Also, we just really use a lot of verbs to ensure that, like, that adds action, and bold, like, we inspire to do both things. We also are quite bold ourselves. We have we have a lot of jokes on social, and then even in email, that we're changing this more to human, but to like someone you want to hang out with, like someone who's just cool, have jokes, but who would be humble as well. So that's
awesome. And we're going to talk a little bit more about some of your social media campaigns, particularly with TikTok later. But I mean, that definitely comes across to me. You know, I mean, SEO and all this kind of audit side of things can be quite geeky. And I think for some people, it can be almost intimidating. I think some people, like, they're trying to improve their marketing efforts, and they see a tool like Semrush, and they could be intimidated and think, oh, look, this is too complicated, and they're scared of asking like a silly question. But I think that's where the friendly part of your outreach is so important, and I think that really comes across well. I have to say, I'm not always. I actually I've gone through a state of unfollowing a lot of pages on Facebook and on Twitter and stuff, because it's like boring, but I've definitely not done that with Semrush. It's entertaining as well, which is great. So let's move on to live streaming. So I'd love to know, like, what's your experience been with live streaming, some of the historical stuff, and have you made any mistakes? I always love to ask this question because I want to make people feel that they're not alone. We all make mistakes. I mean, I've made mistakes at the beginning of this with my microphone. Does that matter? Is it the end of the world? No, it isn't. So tell us a little bit more about your experience and any mistakes that you've made.
Yeah, so I was hosting a lot of webinars back in the days, and we were trying to use this OBS. It was just then a new thing. And then you can upload the frame and then put the video in the frame. And then the text was just upside down, or not actually all centered in the right way. So it was very weird and awkward, and that was too techy. And then when you're going live, then like everything is not great last minute. So yeah, with OBS, that was a lot of struggle at first. So I think that's where this is the mistake that actually are very frustrating when you're live, when something is not go. So we had also in Semrush, like it was not my webinar, but we had an issue where just the speaker was on already presenting, and then I was live tweeting on that webinar, and then the speaker was just gone, and the host was there for 10 minutes. And I was cheering up for the host, because he actually kept the audience, like nobody like nobody signed off, and then everyone was so interested, like what's going to happen, how he's handling the situation. But that was a very, very, very awkward moment. And yeah, that's like a lot can happen during live. So that was probably like things that I can.
But that's awesome, isn't it? Because like for you behind the scenes, it was really awkward and probably quite stressful. I can imagine I would get stressed. But like to the audience, like if nobody was leaving and they were really interested, it actually shows that sometimes if a mistake happens or like some kind of problem, it's actually how you deal with it. And if you're like a deer in headlights and you panic and then that's not a good way to deal with it. But if you just like, if you chilled out, if you kind of almost laugh at yourself, or and you make fun of the situation, but that sometimes takes time to get there. And oh yes, OBS, that's how I started too. I remember those days. It's a lot easier these days, and I assume for your event next year, you're not going to be using OBS.
No. But I always remember this very great advice that someone gave me. I don't remember who. Well, it was probably a public speaking coach, where he says, like, always remember that when you're on stage, or when you're putting the event on, that the audience wants you to succeed. And I always try to remember that when like something happens, even on stage, that like everybody like they're here for you, they're listening to you, and they actually want to benefit from it too. So they want you to succeed no matter what.
And that's so true, because I think in our minds, we've talked about this on the show, the whole mindset side of things. Sometimes there can be this negative voice in your head that says to you, like, everyone hates you, they want you to fail. And there might be one or two people like this, I don't know, narcissists, psychopaths, like your enemy, I don't know, people, but like, forget about them. They're not the people that you're talking to. The rest of the people, they are wanting you to do well. And that's so right. Thank you for sharing that, Olga, because I think we can't be reminded about that too much. Reg is saying that's happened to me, so I assume that was one of the problems that you were talking about, Olga. And I don't want to like be negative about OBS. OBS is a great tool, but probably if you have a tech team, if you've got like a big tech team, they're all doing it. But for a lot of these events, and I want to know a bit, obviously more about how you're going to be doing it. But for a lot of us, it's just us doing it. For this, I don't actually have I do have a team that works with my business, but this show itself, now I'm producing this show all myself. I'm streaming it myself. I'm interviewing. I'm hosting. Everything is just me, and so using software that's easier to use is so important. So tell us a little bit more about your event. I've got the website up somewhere. Let's just see. Tell us more about the event and when it's happening and a bit more about it.
Yeah, so the website is still in the development, the event is called Global Marketing Day, so it's an event powered by Semrush. It's not our brand event. One of the reasons why I recommend doing the like non-branded events is because then speakers are not pressured like to decide whether they want to be associated with a brand or not. And then we wanted speakers from like Twitter, Google, other companies that would not even be allowed to join if that was Semrush brand event. So that just makes things easier. And we have a global audience. So I was thinking when we first came up with this idea that our audience is global. We're succeeding with the video and then with webinars, and they bring in awareness and also new leads. And we wanted really to have the audience that wasn't even familiar with Semrush. So non-branded event that where people will learn from the biggest brands. That was something that resonated with me personally. So I thought I would want to be a part of this event. I would want to sign up. And for us, the event needs to be free. So we would put it to whoever wanted to attend. So that's ultimately where the idea came from. And then one of my biggest pet peeves when it comes to videos and lives is when the sound goes off, or there is a very, very weird background where somebody was live streaming from their kitchen, and then I can basically it's just when it's very messy, and I wanted to avoid that. So we decided that we'll bring everyone to the studios. And also we then realized we need a lot of studios, and to ensure the event is global, since it's Global Marketing Day, we need to stream it from various continents. So that's how we, in 2019, when we first run it, and that's we never run it afterwards. We chose Sydney, we chose London, New York, and San Francisco as the studios. And in my head, I had this image of one studio and another being on the same screen as it's on TV. So we actually did it. So there was 6 hours for Sydney, 6 hours for London, 6 hours for New York, and we finished with San Francisco with 6 hours there. So that's how it was initially organized. And that was the fifth studio. We call it Master Studio, where that pulled all of the streams from different studios, and then streamed it to the website and streamed it to the YouTube. So to actually be able to gather two streams from two different locations and merge it together, and also to ensure that the signal is sustainable and we're not passing over signal from one studio to another.
Wow. So that's, I mean, this is a really interesting case study here, because when a lot of people think about these long events, it is all virtual. So people are coming in as guests. But I totally get your concerns with the fact that not everyone has decent equipment or background. They might be, in the kitchen or in the bath even, or hopefully not, but it could be anything. And although you say you can give everyone a checklist, and I always give my guests a checklist. On the whole, all my guests seem to have it's always excellent. I mean, but you just never know. And because you want to. This is partly because you want to put forward, your brand. You want this to be professional. The only way really you saw of doing it is to basically get these studios. I mean, that must be a huge undertaking. Before we talk about that, I just want to make sure I've got you right. So you used StreamYard for all of this, is that right?
No, there was I think some proprietary tech.
Okay.
So that was the professional studio. We used the satellites to have the signals through them, and then this all was collected in professional streaming that would be used for TV.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay. No, I thought you said StreamYard at some one point, but no. So it was all kind of satellite linked to one place. And there's a dedicated place, a dedicated team, presumably. And you can tell us a little bit more about this in a bit. I'll be interested to know who were then organizing the streaming, and then that was going out. I think, yeah. So I was, the only thing I will say for you watching, listening, if you do not have the budget for that side of things, then using a web-based tool like StreamYard or Restream is probably a really good idea here. Although I'm a massive fan of Ecamm and those kind of tools, if you're going to do a big event, you don't want the stream to go down. And the advantage with a web-based tool is that the stream will continue throughout it. Having said that, for 24 hours, so where did you stream to? Which platforms did you stream to, Olga?
So we streamed through YouTube to the website. So we really wanted people to we wanted to lead them to the website because they could then they register. So the stream was free, the conference was free, but they needed to register. That's how we got the email and the information from the user. And then we had this the video. We also had the program. We had then the announcement of what was live, what was coming up next. So there was a full calendar, and there was also the window for everybody to type in questions. So that's where our team was. So during also 24 hours, we had, I believe, 36 people for support and back office who was monitoring the chats, the email, the YouTube comments as well. So we could actually just take shifts and manage it all.
No, that's awesome. So that's great. So you weren't just going live to YouTube or Facebook or whatever.
Yeah,
the point of this was to get people to the website, and I think that's really smart. And YouTube that's really probably the best way of doing it, because you can embed the YouTube video on the website. And in effect, it sounds like you were kind of almost using it like a webinar. I mean, it wasn't a webinar, but you were getting people to register for it and get people to the website, which is amazing. So I just want to bring in, we've got a few comments from Reg. Thank you, Reg, for all your comments. So just a comment about OBS. As I said, we're not knocking OBS. It's just, but you've said here, let me just see. OBS is a great in-depth tool, but there's different tools for different needs. I was a stream lead for an event recently, and OBS is a hard tool to use for remote control multiple panel rooms. Yeah, so definitely would recommend a simplified tool like Ian uses when you want to declutter complexity. OBS scales better when you have a team, and I think that's basically what you were doing, wasn't it? You were. Let's see, how do I get rid of that? It's decided to die on me. There we go. So that's what you decided, Olga. This wasn't something that you personally were going to do. You were getting a dedicated team to deal with that, which is important. And a lot of people, Reg is saying, a lot of people don't know or take for granted the complexity for things to go smoothly. So Reg is asking, does having a team make things easier to stream? I'm just... interested in your thoughts on that. Why didn't you do this? Try to do this yourself?
I think it's just it was impossible for this scale of event. There was a professional team, I think, of 4 people in the master studio, plus 3 people from our side, because we had this. So there was 48 sessions during 24 hours. And each session had 1 speaker and 2 guest experts plus the host. And some of the speakers, they just one of the speaker in London, she just bailed out last minute, and then she couldn't make it. So then we had plan B and plan C for this. But if you're live streaming, then you need to change everything on the website. Also on frames that will be showing on the screen. So that's impossible when you're doing it on your own.
Yeah, I was just going to, sorry to interrupt, I was just going to say that it's so important to have those what if scenarios. Like, what if one of the speaker decides not to turn up or is sick or something like that? What if the stream goes down? What if one of the studios, the satellite dishes break? So I'm sure you did all of those things. And I've had that situation when I've been streaming an event. Like, what if my internet goes down? Do I have a backup? Do we have a recording of one of the speakers? So tell us a little bit more about that, because I think those what if scenarios are so important for a mission critical event like this. This was a big deal for you. You presumably had a lot of people registered. There was a lot at stake for this, and presumably a lot of money that went into it. So tell us a little bit more about that, and what was the planning that went into the what ifs?
So we had a rundown of, well, second by second. So we knew what's going to happen at any second or minute. We knew when the speaker is going to show up, who's going to make them. Also, we had a bit of a makeup there. We also prepped 2 guest experts who are ready to join like once the speaker ended their 15-minute presentation. And then we also had an agreement when some of the guest experts who are not meant to present to have the presentation ready, just in case some of the speakers will not make it. So we used extra people we have already in the green room to ensure that like we would give them more visibility in the event, and then they would then like prepare something for us in advance. Also, we had a few pre-recorded sessions just to ensure that we have the plan C. And also some of the hosts were also ready to present in some locations, just in case, as again, the plan D. So that was, and also we had like a plan A lineup. Then it was for each session, if speaker doesn't show up, if the guest expert doesn't show up. And so how we did this the speaker was from a brand, and 2 guest experts were from marketing agencies, and they kind of like, we had so 15 minutes. Every session is 30 minutes. Every 15-minute is the speaker presentation. 15-minute is a discussion with 3 of them, host moderating and getting the best questions from the attendees chat that are pre-selected by someone on my team. And so that's how, like, every 30 minutes we have it. And there was 1 minute for transition from one session to another. So within like a very, very short time, if we had a hiccup, then we had like only 30 minutes, sometimes like hour, to turn things around and then to plug in like another visual for coming up next, and then 3 people who will be in the next session.
No, that makes sense. So if for people who are thinking about putting on a big event like this, where was this document with all the some different scenarios? Would you recommend like a Google Sheet, an Excel spreadsheet?
Yeah, spreadsheet.
Yeah,
Yes.
so a spreadsheet, that's how you would do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
The whole thing is in rundown, and that's any event manager would know what the rundown is. So we hired the event manager who's actually building events the opening of Olympic Games, Formula One. We are very lucky to find her.
Wow.
Now she's in Qatar for the World Cup, and she does it freelance. So she was like for 1 year on my team, and then she really getting that level of talent really also allows any team to make things very differently, because from the events perspective, there are a lot of mistakes we would have made if we wouldn't have someone on the team of that caliber. But I think also very important to mention, it looks maybe, or it sounds a bit more expensive than it was, like the production, not the promotion, but the production was around $120,000 for the whole studio rent, for the master studio, excluding the help from the internal team during the event. I think this was massive. That was like our internal power with a lot of employees help from different teams in Semrush. But like overall, the studio rent, the tech, the website, like everything, that was
Wow.
100.
That's amazing. I mean, in some ways that sounds like a lot of money, but when you think about what you were getting for that, I mean, you were hiring studios all around the world. There was all these people involved. I mean, that is amazing. And the quality of what you got, I mean, this was like proper quality. This was not like what you normally see. I mean, I'm not knocking this show, but this is a cut above what we're doing here on this show. because you were wanting to put on this really, really professional event that just would stand out and get people watching and listening and engaging with it. So I'm really interested more about the team here. So you talked about your event manager. It would be great if you could share, like, because obviously you were not doing this, and you've already shared this, you were not doing this on your own. This would not be something that one person could do. Can you tell us a little bit more about the team involved? So obviously you've got your internal team, but you hired people in, you had hired an event manager, and there was a streaming team. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? How you, and also I'd be interested in, how did you then go about, how did you work out who you needed for this? How did you find them? And a little bit more about that.
So there needs to be one person who just is responsible for making things happen. So that's the project manager. And I had a very promising, very young manager on the team, and then she was in our regional German marketing team, and then I just pulled her to work on a bigger range of countries. And then I just saw that she needs quite a bigger challenge to really, also just to amplify the strengths. She's never done anything remotely close to that, but I love giving people the challenge that would really stretch them and then grow them. So I asked her if she would be game. She said yes. So we had her. So she was just responsible for collecting everyone. And then also just she started working with the event manager. So that was 2 people. Then there was also a campaign manager. She was working on co-marketing or partnerships, because we were using a lot of support from our partners, announcing the event in their newsletters. And also she was responsible for every email that went out. So we asked people to register. There was a confirmation email, and then there was announcements for the guests. There were also emails for our existing audience and again for partners. So she was taking care of all the campaign promotion and also launching everything on Facebook and Instagram. Actually, social media ads brought majority of the audience, and 80% of the audience that we gathered was new to Semrush. So those are 3 key people. Then we needed a program manager and speaker manager. So that was a 4th team member. She was working on outreach on the topics and then assembling everyone across 4 locations. And that was also, you probably know him, Anton Schulke. He was on my team back then. He was head of the webinars. And he was working also on another part of the speaker list. So he was in charge of the guest experts. So he needed to get around 200 people and also different locations. So that was 5 people team. And there was a tech team who ensured that the website will not crash if we have thousands of people coming in to watch. They were running different tests to ensure that if we even get 100,000 people or whatever more, then the website will be continuously running without any issues. And they were running the show so that was a test. So they streamed something on YouTube for 24 hours nonstop to ensure that, and then also they put artificially traffic on the website to ensure that it was all sustainable. So that was a tech team to do that and just ensure that everything is up and running. And that's the team who was working on the project for 6 months.
Wow, that's fascinating. So this was back in 2019, and then 2021 happened. We're not going to talk about what happened in those years because we don't want to get depressed or anything like that. But whilst everyone else, it seemed, in the world was going online and going virtual, you didn't do this again. And now that we're kind of going back to in-person events, you're decided to bring this back for next year. So it seems a little bit kind of counterintuitive, or what, so tell us a little bit more about the thinking about this. Why are you doing it this way? Why are you doing it, starting this again next year? And how is it, sorry, so many questions there, how is this going to be any different to the one that you did back in 2019?
So we wanted this to be in the studios with the proper sound and proper like visual, and it wasn't possible because we couldn't bring people in any studio, and then this change of 1 minute in between sessions, we couldn't even, we would need to ensure safety, and then cleaning everything, and then also ensuring that there's enough space for everybody in the green room. That was just not possible, and we didn't want to sacrifice any of it and then make it virtual from everybody's home because of the potential technical issues. And also, with so many online events competing with each other, we thought that we will never get the audience that we would be aiming for. So that's what we decided, we make a pause and then see what happens. And in 2021 it didn't get any better in that regard. And then also we started thinking that we will do it this year, but also with preparation. And also we want to have a 6-month flight or a 5-month flight of promotion to ensure that we get people to sign up and to watch it. So that's why we started working this summer, and then we plan for February 16th, 2023, and that gives us enough time for outreach and also for the speakers, and also to build everything, and to have enough time for promotion. Also, given that December will be low season, and then nobody really signed up for anything. And in terms of what's different. So no, San Francisco. It's a very difficult city in terms of the studio, and also I wanted to limit it to just one studio and then run it for 24 hours, but that's not going to happen. So we still need a master studio. We haven't decided where it's going to be. We're gonna start in New York, then stream to Dubai, and then to London. And also we're gonna fly the speakers. We'll find a lot of speakers in London or in UK, but we might also consider flying someone in from Europe. Then in New York, we'll just fly people from different locations, or with our team in Boston can take the train. And Dubai actually allows us, so there are a lot of interesting companies in Dubai. There's also Tel Aviv is only 2-hour flight, and whole Asia, India, is also very close. So that allows us to invite great speakers with different backgrounds, with different companies across the world, with those 3 main points.
Awesome. I think the people in London are going to be very sad that you're not flying them out to Dubai, but I'm sure they'll cope. But so how? So you've mentioned a few things that you're doing differently. You've got fewer studios. You had maybe slight problem with San Fran studio there. Were there any bits about the 2019 thing that didn't go quite according to plan? It sounded like everything went amazingly, but what did you learn from 2019 that you're doing differently in 2023? Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so we started in Sydney time zone, and that's not a great time zone to start because US is already off, and then Europe is still sleeping. So yes, we do have APAC, but we also we're losing still our primary audience. And then with actually starting from New York, we'll have Europe. We'll have everyone online. So that's the morning or 10 a.m. Eastern would be the perfect time to start the conference. So it was just like we're covering like 24 hours, we're covering all the time zones, but I just feel that the start of the event is so important, and then that needs to be our US.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. You want to start the event with a bang, and you kind of want to end it with a bang. So it's really hard finding that perfect time zone, but that sounds about right. It is really difficult. Well, that sounds amazing. If people want to sign up or find out more about this, where's the best place? Is it that website that we
Global Marketing Day? Mm-hmm. Yes,
globalmarketingday.com presumably.
.com, yes.
.com. So check that out. This podcast episode comes out later in 2022. I'm not exactly sure when, but it's still before you still have loads of time to register for that, and I can't wait to see what you're going to be doing there. I was thinking originally when you telling me about this, you are totally mad, Olga, for putting on this event. But now that I know you have this amazing team behind you, it sounds like it's a lot more manageable. And you've done it before, so you kind of know what's happening. So it sounds really exciting, and I wish you all the best for that. We're almost out of time, and I know you gave me kind of like, I was talking to you about like what would be good to talk about, and you gave me two options. And one of the options was what we've been talking about. You did mention about TikTok, and I kind of chose the one we've been talking about. But I do want you to tell us a little bit more about what you've been doing about TikTok, because I'll be honest, I feel awful saying this, but I'm not the greatest TikTok fan. But I'm totally aware that it is massively popular, and it's something that I want to dive into a little bit more myself. And I know my audience is the same as well. So tell us a little bit more about what you've been doing on TikTok. And I'm going to get up the Semrush TikTok page up, and so we can have a little look at that. So tell us a bit more about what you've been doing there.
So we had a few not really successful attempts, and then we hired a team of stand-up comedians, and then they started putting the small 15-second sketches about like office humor, and also like X amount of people search where appendix is, left or right. And here's one of the searches. And then there's a doctor actually just having a funny situation where he asks the nurse where the appendix is. And it was just funny. Also, we were trying to tap into the audience that would not know who Semrush is, but would really relate to the search, because everybody searches on Google, and that's like that would give us like a wider exposure. And then just my goal is to now have everyone thinking, okay, Semrush is something about marketing. So this is where, like, if we get there, it's also easy for us to introduce more people to the platform. But with channels like TikTok, that's just entertainment, and that's subtly hinting on what we are actually about as a brand. But yeah, I think tapping in with humor here was a very successful attempt. We're still going. Where we're taking it further, we were doing this only organically, so we never really pushed the videos with paid. I think we missed out on the opportunity, and it would have been even better if we did it earlier. So I would say that. Well, I also checked Ryanair and Duolingo. This is the one of the two best references I can give in terms of brand accounts on TikTok. So they're both also using humor, and in a very subtle way. Well, Ryanair account is really hilarious, so I would also recommend to check.
I need to follow them. And I think, like, if this is purely organic, I mean, I think you've done amazingly well on this, because, not that we should just look at the numbers, the number of views, but I mean, they are good numbers that you're getting here, and they are funny. But the thing about TikTok, would you say it's more about like brand awareness, getting people thinking about this? Because obviously it's not about kind of sending traffic. It's difficult to send traffic from TikTok to externally. Tell us a little bit more about your thinking there. And the other thing I'd like to know, like for people like me who maybe aren't the greatest fans of TikTok personally, like if you're a small business and you're kind of unsure about whether to go on TikTok personally, you don't particularly like it, but you wonder whether it should be something. What would be your strategy for someone like me who doesn't particularly like it but probably should be doing it?
Then you should be there. I think, for small businesses, I think Instagram now offers bigger range of opportunities. And also, people go to Instagram and TikTok to search. But I go to Instagram, for example, if I want to I want to see the restaurant nearby. I might not go to Google. I will type in the hashtag, or I'll see what's around me. Basically I'll just go and check the meals in Instagram, even if I found something on Google. I don't really necessarily when the reviews are really excellent, I might not really trust them. So I just want to see what's on Instagram. So I think both of those platforms now have really great power. If you don't like the platform, if you don't feel that you can also do this, record the videos, if you don't have if you feel that your skills are elsewhere, for example, again with Reels and TikTok videos, they're similar, but still with Reels, I think Instagram has still a different vibe. So you should apply your skills to a platform. It's never like, okay, everyone's on TikTok, I should be there too, because it might actually not work just because you're not enjoying being there, and that would ruin the whole experience, because people need to trust you. They need to see that you're genuine, you're like true self. And if it doesn't come across that way, then I'm not sure that actually it's going to work out.
I agree with you. Thank you for saying that. It's so true. I think there's this danger, particularly if you're a small business. You don't have those resources necessarily, and you think you need to be everywhere, and you don't. So I think as you grow your team, potentially that can give you the resources to be able to put it in to other things. And I think for me, my focus is on YouTube and LinkedIn at the moment, but I will revisit these in the future. But it's been awesome to see what you guys are doing at TikTok. It's been amazing to hear what you're doing with taking a live event to the next level. And if you're interested in seeing a little bit more about how to take things to the next level, then do check out this event that Semrush are doing. Can people see part of the event that you did in 2019?
Yes, on the website. Yeah. Yes, on the globalmarketingday.com, there are videos from past events.
Awesome. So you can find out that more about that. So how can people find out? Obviously, you can go to Semrush. You can go to the, what's it called again? I keep forgetting it. globalmarketingday.com. That's the one. I keep forgetting. How can people find out more about you, Olga? Where do you hang out on social? How can people find out more about you and get in touch with you?
It's LinkedIn or Twitter. So 2 platforms I'm actively using.
Awesome. Well, we'll put links to Olga's Twitter and LinkedIn in the show notes, and this will be it when the blog post comes out in the show notes for this will be at iag.me/178. I just tried to remind myself of the show. I can't when we're getting up to 178. I don't know where we are, but thank you so much, Olga. It's been great to have you on the show. Thank you so much for your insight and telling it. Just being really open about what you've done with your this whole event, because it sounds amazing. It really does. Thank you so much, Olga.
Thank you very much for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Well, we are at the end of the show. I've got another couple of weeks off in August. August is a little bit of a quiet month for me, but I will be back in September. We've got some more exciting guests, more things to talk about. So do come back and watch, and do get in touch. And of course, the podcast comes out every Friday. That'll be coming out every single Friday. No stop with that. And you can find out more there if you go to iag.me/podcast. But until next time, I encourage you to level up your impact, authority, and profits through the power of Confident Live Video. See you soon. Bye.
Thanks for watching the Confident Live Marketing Show with Ian Anderson Gray.
Make sure you subscribe at iag.me/podcast so you can continue to level up your impact, authority and profits through the power of live video.
And until next time,
Toodaloo.